thought there might have been a chance, Falcons fans, that we got the news that Raheem and Zach would be out ski. But we just got the worst possible news based off of the last press conference that Raheem Morris had. Falcons fans, welcome into Falcons Today by Chat Sports. My name is Moose. Let's just break it down because at this point, like I said, I went through the 5 stages of grief with this team. I went from anger to bargaining to sadness to denial, and now I'm just accepting that this is the current state of the Atlanta Falcons. And as long as we are open and honest about that fact, we can at least get through the rest of the season knowing that maybe there's some light at the end of the tunnel. But Taryn Wack directly asked Raheem Morris, and this is where I think it's most telling. Raheem said there are no staff changes, which means that Terry Fontenot still trusts Raheem to keep everybody on this coaching staff. And if Raheem is not making any decisions, neither he nor anybody on that staff is leaving anytime soon. That's the unfortunate part. Now we're going to break down where it's going to come to and how it's going to come to a head, and maybe possibly if when Raheem loses his job and this entire coaching staff is out the building. But before I do that, I got to update you. We are getting closer to the upper echelon of Chat Sports channels. We've caught up. Look at that. Commanders Report. We've shrunk it now to 3,000 subscribers. We're catching up to Aints now. And the Browns Report, 58,000. That's the next big milestone. Hit 50K, and then we are on our way. So do me a favor. If you love Atlanta Falcons content, fresh daily videos just like the one you're watching right now, hit that big red sub button. Join the family today. So I had said 3 weeks ago that I predicted if the Falcons lost in dramatic fashion to the Indianapolis Colts, which they did, that Raheem Morris and Zach Robinson would both be gone after the Colts game. And I thought there was a sliver of a possibility it might happen. Unfortunately, it did not. Which means what? What is the worst possible news that a Falcons fan could get? Raheem's not going to be let go until the end of the season. 8 more games of this putrid offense that we have to watch. And less locker room cohesion. I've said on multiple episodes before this that you will lose your best players at some point if you're not careful. And it's clear Terry Fontenot doesn't give a rat's ass about that. So what's he going to do? He's just going to ride out the rest of the season to save face. Shout out to the defense, by the way, which a lot of fans got down to the comments section and notably were angry that we gave up so many yards to Jonathan Taylor. And believe me, I know the run defense is a problem. But for everybody who is saying this defense isn't good, you held the most efficient offense in the NFL to 2 of 12 on third down. That is spectacular. And by the way, fun fact, that is the lowest third down percentage the Colts have had all season. This defense has some really, really good foundational pieces. I'm excited to see where they go. But as far as where we all stand as Falcons fans, myself included, we feel like SpongeBob. That's not even SpongeBob. That's SpongeBob. That's literally me every single morning. I'm like, great. Have to talk about Raheem Morris and Zach Robinson again. Believe me when I tell you the day that they are let go, when we go live, you're going to see the happiest Moose. I'm going to do a little dance, make a little love, get down tonight. That's me. That's me when they lose their jobs. I'm ready to clean house. How about you? Let me know in the comment section down below, yes or no. And if you're not ready to clean house, if you're ready to get rid of one, at least defend your answer down in the comment section down below. I love reading the comments and getting into healthy debates with Falcons fans about their views of this team. Coming up, we're going to break down more of the problem. Michael Penix Jr., we're getting some more statistics out there that prove that this marriage between him and Z-Rob just doesn't work. Now, before I get into that, got to tell you about my friends over at Prize Picks. You know, the weather might be getting colder, Falcons fans, but the feeling of being right never gets old. So keep the season rolling on Prize Picks by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. Follow other Prize Picks players directly on the app and copy their lineups in just one click. Whether it's a friend, a celebrity partner, or just someone whose picks you like producer Reed's, hit that follow button and check out every lineup they create in the brand new feed tab over on Prize Picks. Very simple to play. It takes 30 seconds to make. Just download the app, Pick your player, the more or the less on their stat projection, and win up to 2,000 times your money this football season on Prize Picks. Download the app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. All that, by the way, is in the comments and description of today's video to make it super easy for you. All right, so the biggest problems right now, at least offensively, are Michael Penix Jr. and Zach Robinson. Zach Robinson more so than Michael Penix, in my opinion. We can debate that back and forth all day long. We can go around in that circle. But my opinion, Moose's opinion, Zach's the main problem. However, it's not just Moose. It's not just you. It's not just them. It's not just him or whatever. It's not the random Falcons fan on social media that notices the problem. ESPN reporters are now starting to take notice. And I feel like the Falcons are the least discussed team in the NFL simply because they've kind of fallen into irrelevancy. You never know what kind of Falcons team you're going to get on any given Sunday. But here's what Ben Solak, one of the high-ranking reporters at ESPN covering the NFL, had to say about Michael Penix Jr. Penix simply hasn't looked like an 8th overall pick. Yes, he can throw the ball with impressive velocity. Arm strength is his cardinal trait, and a player with his velocity and release speed will have a place in the NFL for a while. However, he does not move much and is one of the league's worst quarterbacks when pressured. He doesn't make fast decisions in the pocket either, which makes him particularly shaky. We'll touch on that here in a little bit. Against the blitz, 27th among 33 qualifying quarterbacks this season in dropback success rate when blitzed. That's terrible. And to this point, he doesn't have NFL caliber accuracy. So there's a lot to unpack there if you are a Falcons fan, and you probably are sitting here going, Moose, please give me something to at least give or get hope for Michael Penix Jr. And I will touch on that here in a little bit. However, got to identify the bad because it's not just Zach Robinson. It's not just Penix. It's both of them. He's starting to crumble under pressure. Literally and figuratively. When the game is on the line, I think his confidence has gotten shaken. I also think that when he's blitzed, he's clearly the worst quarterback right now in the NFL. And the stats, they back it up. You cannot argue with the numbers. Penix is bad against the blitz. His pressures faced are the least amount in the NFL, and yet he still has some of the worst bad throws percentage, or one of the worst bad throw percentages against the blitz. That bottom left is awful. In fact, the only worst place that you could be is where Josh Allen is, because that's the highest bad throw percentage against the least pressure faced. But Michael Penix Jr. is also terribly bad. He's kind of on an island down there. But it isn't just Michael Penix. Zach's scheme sucks. Look at Michael Penix Jr. System throw percentage, meaning how many times does your offensive coordinator scheme players open and then throws by EPA, your EPA per throw in that system. So Michael Penix Jr. is only slightly above the median in the NFL, which tells you Zach Robinson is rarely scheming open players as frequently as play callers like Shane Steichen, like Kyle Shanahan, like Kevin Patullo, like Josh McDaniels. There's a lot of different ways you can scheme open your players, and Zach Robinson does not adjust his offense whatsoever. So I've devised a little plan. How do you solve these offensive issues, at least for the time being? Well, the first thing you have to do is you got to set your feet in the pocket. This is for Michael Penix Jr. Dude, you cannot look like a jumping rabbit in the pocket. You cannot be happy feeting it all the time. Right? Isn't that little penguin, that little happy feet thing, what they do? You cannot be bouncing around back there. You've got to plant your feet, establish a firm foundation, and deliver the football with confidence, accuracy, and poise. Step 2, this one's for Z-Rob. Get the playoff. If you want Michael Penix Jr. to have more confidence pre-snap, how about getting the damn play in quicker? How many times have we seen pre-snap this year where Michael Penix Jr. is changing the play at the line of scrimmage with 3 seconds left on the game clock? The play clock. And then what happens? He jumps back into the shotgun or the pistol, which we love to run, and then boom, Ball's in his chest because they got to get the football out. It's sloppy communication between your quarterback and your offensive coordinator. Step 3, another thing for Zach Robinson, but also for Raheem Morris. Activate Nick Nash and Chris Blair. I'm tired of talking about not having weapons to throw to when you've got 3 that are just rotting away on your practice squad. Nick Nash deserves a chance. Chris Blair had a great preseason, deserves a chance. Call them up, please. And lastly, for Michael Penix Jr. Dude, you gotta use your legs more. I understand he's not a mobile quarterback. You don't have to be. But my God, you cannot stand there like a statue inside the pocket. The name of the game in 2025 is pocket mobility. You don't have to be Jaden Daniels. You don't have to be Caleb Williams. You don't have to be even Bo Nix, who uses his legs a lot more. But what you can't be is Phillip Rivers. What you can't be is Jared Goff and Ben Run. That'd be a good call. Ben Roethlisberger as well. Maybe not. Ben used to run when he was younger, but not in his older years. So I agree with you there, producer Reed. But I do want to at least highlight that Michael Penix Jr., if he's not going to use his legs, he's got to be far more accurate from inside the pocket. Here is the least accurate quarterbacks when it comes to their CPOE. I'm sure you're wondering, CPOE, that sounds like a kind of a crazy stat. What does it mean, Moose? Completion percentage over expectation. Meaning, how many passes do you complete? What's your completion percentage? And what is your adjusted completion percentage rate based off of things like drop and scheme? Well, the higher the number, the better quarterback you are, because they don't take into account just the box score. This percentage equals everything else. So the drops, the scheme, all of that goes into your completion percentage over expected. The lower this number, the worse your quarterback is. Penix is 5th in the least accurate quarterbacks. By the way, number 1 right now in the NFL at 20.8%, Sam Darnold. He's got Clint Kubiak. That's neither here nor there. Bottom line, Penix has to get better from inside the pocket. Plain and simple. I want him to use his legs more, but if he doesn't feel like he's ready for that yet, then my guy, you got to see the field better from inside the pocket. You're too big, you're too tall, you're too strong. Figure it out. And I also want to at least mention that the most recent NFL news that happened yesterday was that Brian Daboll got fired by the New York Giants, and I thought, silly of me, maybe this kind of brings the snowball effect a little bit. Does Terry Fontenot see that? Yes, of course he does. Does he make a decision? No, he doesn't. And the media whispers from everything that I'm reading and everything that I'm hearing right now around the Falcons front office is that a replacement head coach has already been discussed between Arthur Blank, Rich McKay for some reason, and Terry Fontenot. And yet they're not going to make a move until the end of the year. It just blows my mind. If you're already having the conversations, you clearly have already made up your mind. Because as someone who has never ran a football franchise, I can tell you right now that if I wasn't planning on moving off my head coach, I wouldn't even entertain it. Before I take on off out of here and leave you with that little pensive moment to think about, the Browns report sits comfortably in the second tier of Chat Sports sub rankings. If you could help us get even closer and shrink that gap, it'd be a lot of help to me and to Falcons fans everywhere. Next time, Falcons fans, I will make sure to have more positive news for you. Until then, rise up and be cool.